Hello, guys. Alex Fedotoff here, and today we have an amazing guest. We have Garret Akerson, and Garret has co-founded his company, Kindred, bravely with his wife, and they have grown it to the point where one of the 8 fastest-growing online retails on Shopify platforms in 2017, and 2019, it was named number 20 on Inc. 5,000 list of fastest-growing privately held US companies. Thank you for joining me today, Garret.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Yeah, so we made Inc. 5,000 4 years in a row now. And
wow.
Yeah, bootstrapped from day one. We did take external funding for the first time this last year in 2021. But up to that point, cool. We've always been profitable and bootstrapped.
Well, you guys selling, so you guys like specializing on that. I actually had a conversation right before this call with a company called Bump Health, the founder, the chief revenue officer. They're also like in mom's niche, but they're more on the like telemedicine and kind of like service side of it.
Yeah.
Subscription boxes. So how did you start this company? Like you had just like, you had a kid, you wanted to like, you couldn't find anything like, something that you were looking for?
Yeah, well, not me personally. My wife was breastfeeding our youngest. Yeah. And she could not find anything comfortable that she liked. And I was running a digital advertising agency at the time and wanted to do something in e-commerce. And so my wife, Deanne, was in the office one evening and she was like, I can't find anything comfortable for breastfeeding and maternity. What about starting something in that space? And it hadn't even occurred to me. So that was the initial spark that started it all in 2015.
Wow. Cool. And so like, you mentioned, so the brand was like fully like self-funded from the start?
Yeah, we started out, we put in, I think the first order was $5,000. We went through a number of iterations. We're fortunate that we're in San Diego, so we were fairly close to LA, so we could make trips up to the garment industry in LA because neither of us had a background in apparel. Deanne knew what she wanted from like a look and feel and design and functionality, but neither of us. Deanne was a math teacher. I was running an advertising agency. So with $5,000, we launched the first product, which was a pair of pajamas. They only came in black and in 4 sizes.
Wow. And so how did you sell those? Did you sell those with Google, like Facebook?
We launched on Amazon and on Shopify's platform, and most are initial sales. That initial order was just 500 units. And it was mostly mom groups, word of mouth. And
oh, really? Wow.
I think we probably gave away half of those just to get the word out and get reviews in.
Wow, interesting. So was it kind of like the stable growth since then, or like you've had some years where you had like, obviously like, because the reason I'm asking is like the apparel overall is you gotta be constantly like looking for trends, for colors, kind of like what new things people want, right? So those type of things. So has it been like stable growth since the inception, or you've had some obstacles along the road?
Definitely had obstacles. And I don't know that growth is ever stable, right, Alex? It kind of, to me, it feels like it goes in kind of stages. You'll feel like you're stuck where there's like a ceiling, revenue may be stalled or growth. Yeah, that first product, it did okay. It wasn't great, but shortly after that, in October of 2015, we launched 2 bras. And so that was a huge bump all of a sudden because there was just a lot more demand for bras. And we stayed very focused on functional. So we did not want to do seasonal fashion where we had to turn a product and then discount it if it went out of fashion. So we are very much a basics brand, and we limited the number of colors, we limited the number of styles, and we stayed in intimates, so bras and underwear and pajamas. And I think that really worked to our favor as far as stability. But yeah, as far as years, 2018 was our hardest year. We actually lost money, first time ever and only time we lost money 5 months in a row.
Wow.
where we just were not getting advertising right. It just was not, things were not working on Facebook. We opened a warehouse. We switched to NetSuite. We had a lot of one-time expenses as well. And it was really stressful. It was rough. Other than
And you
that,
get it back, then you got it back on track?
we got it back on track in November. So this was 2018. So we lost money all the way up to November. And I hated to think of us as a quote traditional retailer, but Black Friday, we actually, turned a profit, like typical brick and mortar. The things we did is we totally restructured Facebook. We switched who we were working with. At the time, we were working with a couple of consultants, and we actually went with an agency and just restructured everything on the ad side and pulled costs way down. Our customer acquisition costs came way down. And then we started pushing AOV a lot more to increase AOV. And those two, that to me, that's kind of the magic formula on Facebook, obviously. If you can push your customer acquisition costs down and you can push your AOV up, that's a recipe for success. If you can't push your customer acquisition costs down, you certainly have to push AOV up, or you're just not going to survive.
Hey guys, people have been asking me how we scale to multiple 6 figures or even 7 figures per month without getting shut down on Facebook. And we have a very sophisticated solution for this that I want to share with you, but it's just like too valuable to give away for free. So if you guys want this solution, just book a call with one of my team members and we'll show you exactly what it is and how it works, and we'll see if that's a good fit for you and for your business. So just book a call with my team member. We'll share it with you so you can scale your business to multiple 6 figures or even 7 figures per month without getting shut down on Facebook, without having inconsistency, and with high profitability. So just book a call with my team and I'll see you there.
Cool. So you guys, so from what I checked, you guys have, so you've been like self-funded from the start. Then like this year, last year, you got the partnership and investment from like the private equity firm.
Correct. Yeah.
So how was like kind of like for those of you, because a lot of our audience are like e-commerce entrepreneurs and also like bootstrap businesses from the beginning. So what do you see as kind of like the right time maybe for like getting like partner up with either private equity firm, venture capital firm, getting investment? What do you think is the right time in the business life cycle?
Yeah, that's a great question. This was a really tough decision. And I think you have to look at it as an entrepreneur. I think you have to look at it through 2 lenses. You have to look at it through a personal lens and a business lens. I think is why it probably makes it a little harder. From a business standpoint, I think, if you see the need for additional capital to fuel growth, that's probably the right stage. If you feel like you cannot put any more money in, and or you want external expertise and you want a partner that's going to bring, maybe they bring to you retail, or maybe they bring to you wholesale partnerships or some other growth channel that you don't have experience in, and or maybe they can strengthen your executive team or help you build out middle management. I think from a business standpoint, those are all maybe good arguments for bringing in an outside partner. From a personal standpoint, it's really when is it right for you and your family, if you have one, to take some chips off the table, right? And in that case, usually, well, I would actually say in both cases, usually later is better. The longer you can push off taking outside capital, the better. Just because from a valuation standpoint, right, Alex? So if you can get to, 5 million in EBITDA or beyond, your multiples just go up quite a bit as well. So cool. I would say if you're sub 5 million EBITDA, I would not take capital. Anywhere close to that is probably when you might want to start considering private equity. Venture capital had been talking to us a lot earlier than that. Obviously, they'll invest early stage. But in my mind, in e-commerce, there's no argument to take venture capital. You're just giving away equity that you don't really need to. Because in e-commerce fueling growth, if I look at the landscape of D2C brands that have taken venture capital or private equity too early and tried to scale, they scale unprofitably with the assumption that they'll later turn a profit. I don't think it usually works out for the founders or the company. For one, I think it just takes time to build brands.
Good perspective. In terms of like building the team, right? So initially you started this business with your wife. Like what were your like next kind of like crucial hires that you've had when you started?
Yeah, so we've grown a lot. We're about 85 employees now.
Wow.
That first year, it was just the two of us. So just grinding at night. I was still running an agency during the day. Very much, come home, work until midnight on the company.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second year, the first person we hired was customer care because we were traveling to China to meet with manufacturers and we needed somebody to answer emails. I think customer care is often the first item that you can probably outsource, depending. We're in apparel, so we had a lot of customer care kind of questions. The second person we hired was a marketing generalist, kind of a project manager slash marketing that could start handling execution on marketing tasks. And along with that person, we hired our first Philippine team members. So today we have about 25 team members in the Philippines. We hired our first Philippine team member to help with marketing. So marketing assistant. And that was year two. So it was just 3 hires in the second year.
So you were keeping it pretty like lean, right? Like in terms of the overhead and stuff, you were still trying to do as much as possible by yourself.
Yeah, we've been remote from day one. We've never had an office.
Wow.
That certainly was huge during COVID because for us it was no adjustment at all. I think it's a competitive advantage when you go to hiring. If you can hire anywhere in the world, you can find much better talent at a much better rate, particularly in today's environment. And 2, if you're trying to control overhead and you're going to be profitable from day one and bootstrap, then yeah, you've got to run lean.
Wow. So at what point you decided to hire like a director of operations or someone like kind of like more like senior people to bring them on board?
We hired senior people once we hit the $9 million in top line revenue. It was right around 8 to 9 in top line, which means probably doing, $1 million in EBITDA and bottom line or more. And so for us, that would have been year 3 after we started, between year 3 and year 4.
Did you ever like so that was your kind of like first like bigger business, or your agency also grew to like substantial level?
So the agency when I left it was at about 4.5-5 million in top line with a much higher EBITDA than e-commerce. But no, Kindred has by far been the most successful startup. It's my 4th startup, but certainly the most successful.
So you had kind of like some experience already with hiring, with kind of like building teams and stuff like that from your agency when you started this brand?
Yeah, I did. And I would say, I think it's probably one of the most overlooked aspects by entrepreneurs. Like if you're building a company, it's all about the team, right? Teams are what are competing out there in the marketplace. If you have a better team, assuming you have great product and you're making the right strategic decisions, it all comes down to team. So we got really good at hiring early on, because then we started really hiring. So year 2, there was just 3, but year 3, we hired, I think, 9 team members and really started building out the marketing team and operations team. Still really most of the team members were all in execution. We didn't start hiring middle managers until end of 2018, early 2019. So what
revenue you were doing then?
We would have been doing, that's between 9 and 15 million in revenue.
Wow. Because some of the businesses I'm talking to, like they start hiring like a lot earlier. Do you think that's like mistake to hire, like, let's say, like director of operations or some kind of like senior people like early on when you're just starting the business?
I do. I don't know. That's just my personal kind of philosophy. I think hiring senior people, unless you get lucky and hire the right person, senior people usually are not focused on execution. They're focused on strategy or management. Whereas early on in a business life cycle, you need a team that's really good at executing. And plus, those positions cost less. Now, that being said, I started this company with my spouse as a partner. So I already had a very strong partner. So if you're a solo entrepreneur, then yeah, I think you do need at least one other person that's senior level that is strong where you're weak. So for us, I handled all of marketing and finance. That was my strength. And Deanne handled all of operations and customer care.
And product as well, because like, I mean, you need to design, you need to talk with manufacturers, with suppliers, handle the fulfillment.
Yeah, that was on her side. But I would push that off. For me, as long as you are comfortable managing team members, really we filled out middle management before we ever started hiring any director level. Director level, I would put off as long as, so, we would hire like a marketing manager was one of the first ones, an HR manager, product development manager. So those were kind of the three key manager levels, and those would have been in year 4, but they're still manager level. All of those people are still with us today, and by now they are senior managers or director. So you can build team members up that way. And then we've added some additional, director level or C-suite level. That wasn't until year, 5 really. 5 and 6.
Cool.
Make sure you follow me on Instagram. It's Alex Fedotoff, 3F at the end, because I share behind the scenes strategies and things we do in our 8-figure business and also in my personal life. So make sure you follow me and I'll see you there.
Are you still hands-on with the business?
I'm not as hands-on as I was. We hired a president in 2020 with the intent of finding a really strong C-level team member that could handle day-to-day. And so most of my time spent on new initiatives and the marketing side, and I would call it kind of special projects. So we've launched 2 additional brands in the last few years. So I spend more time on new brand development.
Are they like kind of like similar, also in the same niche, like maternity mom's niche?
So one is a general bra brand, so not in the maternity niche. And that brand is called Davy Piper. And the other brand is a health and wellness brand in the mom space called Sensible that we just launched last year.
Cool. So like, are all of those like, those are not like all apparel brands, right? Because like, so from my understanding, right, like apparel is, like, I mean, if you compare like the complexity of running like apparel business versus some other like physical products business, there's some businesses that only have like 3-5 products, for instance. Apparel business is a lot more complex, right? Because with all this sizing, like the return ratios are higher, the quality control, the different models, you have winter, summer, fall time, springtime. I mean, every time there's like new collections, new things, you have stock outs, you have, so in terms of complexity of the business, so after what you know now, like, are you still kind of like gravitated to apparel, like to that complexity because it's higher, also at the same time, it's higher barrier for entry for other businesses, or you're looking for like simpler business models and simpler type of products?
Yeah, great question. So one of the brands we launched, Davy Piper, is still in apparel. And it's intimates, so bras and underwear basics. And that's because we have, at this point, built this incredible production kind of ability or muscle, for lack of a better word. And we have a lot of relationships on that side. So we certainly can leverage that strength now. Now, the other brand we launched, Sensible, is much simpler because it is in the health and wellness space. So it is lactation support, breastfeeding support, nipple balm, belly balms. It is simpler, you're right, because there's fewer SKUs, but you run into other complexities, right? And other challenges. I don't know on, if I start another brand in the future, if it would be in the apparel space or a different space. Certainly the inventory and SKU complexity is much greater in apparel. We probably have 3,000 SKUs, which may not seem like a lot, but compared to
a friend of mine, like he's running like used tire business, and he has like 50,000 SKUs or so. His warehouse is like in somewhere in Chicago, and like it's like 200,000 square feet warehouse filled with tires. And I'm like, could you like pick up like any simpler business by any chance? Like,
I mean, but to your earlier point, the benefit of complexity is it does create a barrier to entry, right? So there's that trade-off.
Did you run your like advertising business or you exited?
No. I exited that in 2015, end of 2015. So a year after starting Kindred Bravely.
Oh, okay. So this business started to pick up. You just decided to go like all in on one business?
Yeah. The other partner still run that business and I left that, but it's still doing well. Yeah. But after 1 year, Kindred Bravely was doing well enough that I could just full-time concentrate on it.
What advice would you give like e-commerce entrepreneurs that, because I mean, what you've done is like pretty much taking business to like 8-figure level, like 6 years, self-funded, like pretty complex, you know, as we talked about, like, so what advice would you give like entrepreneurs, like seeing kind of like other entrepreneurs, they might be in business for like 5-10 years and their business is still, you know, like 7-figure level, for instance. What do you think you have done differently than other people? Maybe that would be the better question.
I think it's in two pieces. One, I see a fair number of 7-figure businesses where their product catalog is not deep enough. There are instances where you have 8-figure companies that are built on a couple SKUs, granted. But I think if that is the case, usually the market has to be large enough. So one, are you in a large enough market to support a 1 or 2 SKU 8-figure brand? Often not. So in that case, SKU diversification, one, so add additional products that allow you to increase customer lifetime value or your AOV, your cart at checkout, right? Because your one job should be increase AOV / lifetime value. If you do that consistently, year over year, your business is going to grow. And then my second piece of building an 8-figure brand is it's all about the team. If you're stuck at 7 figures somewhere, it's usually the other thing I see broken is team. And that starts with hiring. If you build the right team, you'll get past that 7-figure mark.
What would be like your like number one place where you find, like, let's say you need to hire someone for a position, right? Do you go like kind of like multi-channel, omni-channel, you go as many places as possible to recruit for that person? Or do you go like one specific like channel and you just go like one, like all in on that?
So my philosophy on hiring is it's a numbers game. It's just like a marketing funnel. You need the more candidates at the top of the funnel, the better result you'll get at the bottom of the funnel. And so any position that we post, we look for a minimum of 100 applicants. And typically we want closer to 150 to 200. And fortunately, hiring has never been an issue for us. And candidates, getting that number of candidates has never been an issue. We were fortunate enough early on where we can post a job posting and we'll have tons of customers want to apply and say, oh my God, I love your brand. I want to come work with you. So I think that's part of talking about building a strong brand, talking about your brand in a way where even your customers want to come work for you. As far as where we post, so we post the usual places. We post on Facebook, post on Indeed. Those are probably the two biggest ones where we have the most success, but we'll post depending on the position also on LinkedIn or some niche job sites depending on the position. And then we have a form we've developed over time. We don't take resumes. So you go to a form, you fill out that form, that all pushes into a Google Sheet. We can then look at the Google Sheet, filter that down to about 30 applicants from 150. And then we'll run 3 group interviews of 10 candidates each on a Zoom call. So it will be 10.
So you interview 3 people at the same time?
We interview 10 people at the same time. So there's 10 applicants on one Zoom call with 2 team members. That way we'll run 3 group rounds like that. And we took that directly from Cameron Herold, the CEO of 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and he wrote a great book. and has a lot about hiring. But in particular, that group interview strategy will allow you to get through a number of candidates and directly compare people. Because I think as humans, it's really hard to compare candidates when you interview somebody on Monday, somebody on Tuesday, somebody on Thursday, and you're like, well, was this candidate?
Yeah, I mean, we have like one-on-ones, and it's like, geez, I mean, it takes the whole day, you know? Like, I mean, you interview like 8 people, that takes the whole day.
It takes a whole day. You will never be able to scale your hiring, or find the best candidates, I believe, without this method. It's made all the difference for us. So we can screen 30 candidates in an interview like this in 3 hours. And then we have this whole matrix where we're ranking, and from each of those groups, only 1 or 2 candidates make it through. So then that leaves us typically in the end with 3 to 5 candidates that then go on to what we call doing interviews, where we will also get on a Zoom call, and it will be just like we're working together, Alex. So we would say, hey, today we're going to work on this marketing issue, and we want to see how you work, how you're going to work with us. We're always virtual anyway. So how are you going to work together on Zoom? And that's really where we find out, like, do you know your field? Do you know what you're talking about? And again, I've never looked at your resume to this point, right? Maybe I'll check it at the very end before a one-on-one, but it's highly effective at, again, that funnel. You want as many candidates in as possible to get the best 3 candidates at the end.
This is so cool. I took a note of that. So that person you said, Cameron Harold, right? Like that's the COO Alliance?
Yes, Cameron Harold now runs a group called the COO Alliance. Our COO is in that group, actually. And he's written a number of books. He wrote Meetings Suck. He wrote, I have it over here. I can't see it on the shelf, but a couple others. But yeah, his interview process, I think there's probably some online discussion or online articles on it as well, is where we took that from. He does it in person, or he used to. We were the ones that took it and moved it online. Although I'm sure we're not the only one doing it now that way.
Wow, this is cool. Cool. Garret, what's next for you? Like, do you want to continue to expand these brands, like these kind of portfolio of brands? Like, do you want to get into some new industries? Like, what are your plans? I mean, you've run successfully advertising business, e-commerce business. Are you looking for new challenges, or you want to stay in the same niche?
I don't know, right? I'm certainly for now committed to Kindred Bravely and seeing it through this next level, this next stage of growth.
9 figures.
9 figures. Yeah, we're getting close. I think we'll be there in the not too distant future. I'm certainly more of my time, and I'm very interested in the crypto space, like everyone, I think.
Yeah.
That feels a little cliche, but I definitely think Web 3.0 and crypto is probably the future, and you might find me spending some more time there in the future.
Then I'll probably see you. Because on our side we also have some initiatives on that side. Thank you for joining me today, guys. If you want to connect with Garret, you want to join his team, you want to connect with him, ask him some questions, we'll drop the information. And thank you so much for joining me today, Garret.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Yeah, hit me up on Twitter is probably the easiest, or LinkedIn or email, but happy to connect.
Cool. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you. We'll have another one when you guys hit 9 figures.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Thank you, Garret.